The next speaker is the Honorable Yvonne Pearson. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I rise to make my contribution to the debate of the 2017 budget, the national budget, under the caption, Building a Diversified Green Economy, Delivering the Good Life. Mr. Speaker, I wish to step back a little. 2015 budget captured a fresh approach to the good life in a green economy. 2016, stimulating growth, restoring confidence, the good life beckons. 2017, again, we're talking this time around about delivering the good life to all Guyanese. However, Mr. Speaker, I wish to say, like my colleagues who spoke before me, this is not delivering the good life to all Guyanese. This is delivering a blow, a severe blow. Yes. This is delivering stress, more stress than what we already have. This is putting us in more problem, in shambles, we would say in local terms. Because with the increase, and I need not go over what was said, but I would just like to say, with the increase of so much measure to ensure VAT and other revenue license and all the things that goes with it have to be paid. And what is scary, Mr. Speaker, is that even the small businesses, very, very small businesses, the local person on the street, the man walking and selling, even he has to have his books right. Because what we understand is that there would be a penalty failing to pay up your taxes. And if you do not pay the penalty, then you can be jailed. You can be jailed. So what I would like to say, and what the ordinary people are already thinking out there, is that many of us might very well end up in jail. And so perhaps, Mr. Speaker, maybe the government is already thinking of building bigger jails. Mr. Speaker, we have seen the removal of the subsidy from GPL bills for the old age pension. Although we have heard of the good life for all Guyanese. We have also seen the removal of the subsidy on the GWI water rates for the old age pensioners. Still we're talking about the good life. We have seen discontinuance of the grant, the $10,000 grant for the students. And we're still talking about the good life for all Guyanese. We've seen so many increases, and here we are still talking about the good life for all Guyanese. Today we are debating under the caption, as I said before, diversified green economy. Delivering again. Now this time we are going to deliver the good life to all Guyanese. Mr. Speaker, I wish to make some comments on the speaker that spoke before me, the Honorable Minister Goridulu. Minister Law mentioned a lot of things, but I wish to focus, Mr. Speaker, while other Guyanese will feel the heat, as we would say, and feel the squeeze, I wish to focus my attention particularly on the indigenous peoples of this country. So I've listened to Honorable Minister, and yet I haven't heard what is government's policy in addressing the indigenous peoples with regards to economic opportunities. I've heard about chess playing, singing, having a choir, playing Scrabble, helping 2 women's group. Yeah, that's good, 2 women's group. But do we have a piecemeal approach, or do we have a national policy to deal with the issues of economic venture for indigenous peoples? Mr. Speaker, I think that is missing in the Honorable Minister's presentation. Why am I saying this, Mr. Speaker? I wish to draw the attention of this House to something that is called government's new 10 points plan of action. And this is no secret. This is no secret. This was discussed and presented to the Tushaus at the National Tushaus meeting or conference in August 2015. And here is what the 10 points says, Mr. Speaker. Hinterland Education Support Program, and I'm just going to read the caption. Hinterland Employment Youth Service. Hinterland Poverty Reduction Program. Hinterland Happy Household Program. This one is interesting. Hinterland Happy Household Program. Hinterland and Indigenous Peoples Lands Commission. This also is very much interesting. Hinterland Public Service Provision Scheme. Hinterland Language, Culture and Sports Service. Hinterland Tourism Service. Mr. Speaker, this brings me to the point of asking the question, Hinterland Indigenous Peoples Lands Commission, was this established? And before I go there, Mr. Speaker, I wish to say, in budget 2017, I haven't seen any funds allocated anywhere, and I haven't seen any of this 10-point plan in the budget. And I'm quite sure that Honorable Minister Garrido Low and Honorable Minister Alicock are well aware of what I'm reading from, because this is public knowledge. This was discussed at the National Tushaus Conference, August 2015. So therefore, where are we heading if there's not budgetary allocation to address this 10-point plan? Mr. Speaker, why am I saying this too? Now when we talk about development, of course, development has a cost. And this is the time when you address it, in the budget. In the budget. Mr. Speaker, I just wish to say, the Honorable Member mentioned his project. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I think I should elaborate a little. Maybe it missed my attention in 2017 budget. But in the 2016 budget, allocations were made for his project. And yet, Mr. Speaker, presently as I speak here now in this Honorable House, the students and the facilitators in many villages are still waiting to be paid after 6 months. I am well aware that in September they were being paid 1 month and a half of their stipend. And a few days ago, because perhaps Honorable Minister know that it would be raised in this House, so they're hustling and bustling to some villages again to make some small payments. I am reliably informed, Mr. Speaker, that as late as Saturday, Friday, Saturday, in Region 2, students and facilitators receive only 2 months payment. When we all know in this house that an allocation has been made in 2016 to cover the cost of training and to supply materials for those training sessions. Mr. Speaker, the people are still waiting. 6 months has gone and they have received 3.5 months pay. 3.5 months in Region 2, Region 1, and many other regions. And presently now, some of those villages in other regions are still waiting to be paid. Mr. Speaker, as we're talking about the haze, and the haze is an outcome of what was called, or what was deemed by the members of on the government side as the CSO program, the entrepreneurship program, that was wiped out, or that was thrown away when they took office. That was deemed not good enough, and it was replaced with this present program. After we had objected, after many of our young people raised their voices, and it is being touted as so successful. I did not intend to talk about it in details, but as I'm here, let me say, it is touted to be so successful, Mr. Speaker, and what is happening in many villages is that even the materials and equipment in order to have successful programs, it is not there, it's still lacking, it's still missing. And a huge budget is there, allocations are there. So I'm hoping now that in 2017, since the Honorable Minister stood up and said that there is allocation, that things will really happen as it's supposed to. And that before December 23rd, the people will be paid. I do hope so. Mr. Speaker, let me move on. I wish to also mention that in the presentation of the Honorable Finance Minister, on page 49, where he talks about water, and I really like to read a section of 4.98 on page 49. And it says, in addition, the new wells will be constructed at section B Sophia, Virgin Nugent, Port Royal, Westminster, and New Amsterdam. And water supply system will be installed in the hinterland location, including Chinapau, Tasrini, Matthews Ridge, and the Arakita. The point I would like to make, Mr. Speaker, is that the water supply system that will be installed in hinterland locations, and here is listed a few areas. We are beginning to wonder, Mr. Speaker, because when we talk about water, we might be talking about VAT and more taxes. So the question is, what system will be put in place for areas, for wells and water supply in the hinterland area? And I'm referring because sometimes when people use the word hinterland, they include Lethem, Madia, Matthews Ridge, but I am talking about the Amerindian villages and communities. That is what I'm talking about, Mr. Speaker. And I'm not talking about Madia, Lethem, and elsewhere. I am talking about Amerindian villages and communities. Mr. Speaker, I have seen, as I said before, lacking in the 2017 budget. As where are the projects, the economic projects that would create jobs for our people in our various villages and communities? I haven't seen it. It is not there. And again, I wish to draw attention in the 2016 rather, budget debate, when it was said by a member on the government side of the House, and I'm reading from the Hansard. Just let me give the date and time, probably.
I remember you've spoken for 15 minutes.
Okay. All right, what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, and it's from the Hansard, and what was said by the Honorable Member, Mr. Allen, referring to the said training that I just spoke about, the Hayes Project. He said this is not a training that is just for a selective few in outlying regions. It is not a salary that is given to persons over a period, and at the end of the period they have no skills or they are not marketable. After this training that this government is giving to our youths, they will be marketable. They would be coming out of those training with a certificate. Mr. Speaker, of course they might be coming out with a certificate. But presently in Guyana, we have many of our young people who have certificate and who cannot be employed or who cannot get a job as we stand here. And so when our youths come out and they would be marketable, I am wondering where we will market them. Where? As I said before, Mr. Speaker, I haven't seen the economic opportunities that is needed in our villages and communities. I haven't seen it anywhere in this budget. And I wish to remind the Honorable Minister Garrido, I wish to remind her, while maybe there is a little project talking about tomato paste or whatever, I wish to remind you, Honorable Minister, I wish to remind this House, Mr. Speaker, that the Honorable Minister, in her budget debate last year, she spoke about, the Minister spoke about the many precious stones that can be found in particularly Region 8 and Region 9. Yes. And I wish to say what the Honorable Minister said, and I'm reading again from the answer. She said, the Honorable Minister said, in Monkey Mountain, Kato, Tusane, and several other villages in Region 8, there is an abundance of semi-precious stones, jasper, and amethyst, and quartz. When one stump one toes on a rock, more than often not, it is because a semi-precious stone. The Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs will work along with villages to establish an industry, to cut and polish these stones, produce jewelry, coffee tabletops, clocks, and so forth. A lapidatory will be set.
Must allow the member to.
A lapidatory will be set. Oh, sorry.
Please proceed.
Yes, a laboratory, but it doesn't look so to me, will be set up and an expert who already visited the area is standing by to do the training. Honorable Minister and Mr. Speaker, I would like to order my tabletop for the Minister. You know, Mr. Speaker, many of the time and many things are being said in this House and elsewhere, and there's no follow-up. So it can be deemed as lip service. It can be deemed as lip service. And the indigenous peoples, we no longer want lip service. We want things to happen. action. That is what we're looking for now. We want money in our pocket like any other Guyanese. And we can only do that by having economic opportunity like any other Guyanese. Mr. Speaker.
I'll remember you have to wrap up now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, I have been in this house since August 2015, and I'm quite sure that I've heard more than 1,000 times that we have been there for 23 years and we have not done anything or whatever. Everything that we have done is disregarded as not good. And so to continue to hear 23 years, no. I would wish to say, Mr. Speaker, that the government of the day is the government of the day, and they have a responsibility towards the people of Guyana. More so you have a responsibility to our indigenous peoples. So don't let me hear for 23 years or 28 years. Mr. Speaker.
I'll remember you must conclude.
Okay, in conclusion, sir, I wish to say, you know, the children of Israel, they wandered for 40 years in the jungle before they saw the promised land. Are we Guyanese going to wander and wait? How long are we going to wait for a better life for all Guyanese? For better life for all Guyanese? Please, in closing, Mr. Speaker, I wish to say, in closing, Mr. Speaker, permit me to remind the government on the other side of the house of their manifesto, Foundation for Development, and number 14, specifically to indigenous peoples. Mr. Speaker, I join my colleague in asking the government on that side of the house, more particularly Finance Minister, to withdraw this 2017 budget. There is time yet to look at it and to review it and to come up with something that is acceptable to the Guyanese people. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.